So the next part of the question here under our discussion is, that is, what are the two unique properties of carbon which can form large number of compounds. It is here the answer for this is, one is it is a non-metal, one is it is non-metal, and the one is it can react with the both metals and non-metals, metals and non-metals. For example, if you take calcium, when it interacts with carbon, you can get calcium carbide. Calcium, when it interacts with carbon, you get calcium carbide. And the one is, you can take, this is with metal, this is with metal, then you can take boron plus carbon. If you take B4C, boron carbide, calcium carbide, and also you can add one more because it shows the highest catenation power. It shows the highest catenation power. So here, this is one question which you have to keep it in mind. Two unique properties of carbon which can form large number of compounds. So one is reacts with the both metals and non-metals. It is a non-metal and can react with both metals as well as non-metals, and it shows the highest catenation power. This is one question where you can understand. The next question is, you can take, that is, one more question is, second question, the structural formula and the molecular formula of cyclopentane. The structural formula and molecular, what is the structural formula and molecular formula of the cyclopentane, that we can discuss. So the next part of the question is structural and molecular formula of cyclopentane. So here, if you take molecular formula, if you take pentane, molecular formula is C5H12, cyclopentane, molecular formula C5H10 is the molecular formula. Is the molecular formula. So if you take the structure of C5H10, that is cyclopentane, you can take cyclopentane, you can take, first take 5 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So here attach 2 hydrogens, so 1, 2 hydrogens, again 1 and 2 hydrogens, 1 and 2 hydrogens, again 1 and 2 hydrogens, 1 and 2 hydrogens. This is the structure of cyclopentane, or you can write the same structure as CH2 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2. This is the structure, or simply you can just show it as bond line structure you can see 5 carbons. All this together makes up the structure of cyclopentane. So the next part of the question is, that is, calculate the molecular mass difference and the molecular weight of the following alcohols. A, methyl alcohol, comma C2H5OH methyl alcohol. B, C2H5OH, comma C3H7OH. C, C3H7OH, comma C4H9OH. So here CH3OH is methyl alcohol, C2H5OH is methyl alcohol, C3H7OH propyl alcohol, and C4H9OH is butyl alcohol. So if you are going to carefully observe the alcohols, that is, if you take CH3OH, C2H5OH, I am writing it as C2H5OH, I am writing it as C2H5OH, I am writing it in the form of CH3CH2OH. Again, if you take C3H7OH, I am writing it in the form of CH3CH2CH2OH. Again, C4H9OH, CH3CH2CH2CH2OH. So what you are noticing is, in the case of ethyl alcohol, this is ethyl alcohol. In C2H5OH there is one CH2 group. In C3H7OH there are two CH2 groups. And in C4H9OH butyl alcohol, we have three CH2 groups. CH2 group and CH2 group and also CH2 group. So what you are noticing here is, we can just blindly, we are finding that what is the molecular mass difference. For example, if you take the molecular mass difference, for example, if you take methanol, if you are taking methanol CH3OH, there are four hydrogens, one oxygen and one carbon. So one carbon atomic weight, 1 into atomic weight of carbon is 12. There are four hydrogens, 4 into atomic weight of hydrogen is 1 only, so 0, 4, and there is one oxygen, so 1 into oxygen we can take, atomic weight of oxygen is 16. So 16 if you take, so this is going to become 10, 12, this is 32. 32 is the molecular weight, 32 is the molecular weight of the methanol. Molecular weight is 32, and ethyl alcohol molecular weight, for this 32 you add, for this 32 ethyl alcohol you add another 14, that is nothing but C2H5OH. There are two carbons, 12 twos, atomic weight of carbon is 12, 2 is 24. There are 6 hydrogens, so 6 into hydrogen, so 0, 6. There is one oxygen, 1 into oxygen, that is 16. So 12, 4, 12 plus 4, 16. This is 46. So that means ethyl alcohol molecular weight is 46 molecular weight. Here the molecular weight is 32. Likewise, you can just go on adding for propyl alcohol. for propyl alcohol you have two methylene groups. For 1 mole of methyl alcohol, actually I'll just put it in this way. So for methyl alcohol, molecular weight is 32, and for ethyl alcohol CH3 CH2 OH. So this is for methyl alcohol, molecular weight is 32, and one CH2 group, the molecular weight is 14. So you are getting 46 is the molecular weight. So the difference is, the difference here is 14. 14 is the difference. Again go for CH3 CH2 CH2OH. Again the molecular weight of methanol, molecular weight is 32, but you are finding two CH2 groups, so each CH2 group is 14 molecular weight, here also another 14. Okay, so total 14 into 2 28. So 28 if you add, that is, here if you are taking methanol is 32, CH3 and 1 OH is 32 here, and each methylene group here it is 12. So 32 plus 12, it is 46. So 46 plus 46 for 14 to 28. So total we are getting 60. 60 is the molecular weight for propanol. This is propyl alcohol. And this is methanol. Go for the next case. That is CH3 CH2 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 1 2 3 4 OH. Okay, so that means here what's happening is methyl alcohol molecular weight already we know, that is 32. There are three CH2 groups, 14 molecular weight, and again 14 molecular weight. So 14 into 3, this is 12, 42. So add 42 here, so this is going to become 474. So therefore the total molecular weight is 74. So here, therefore, here if you take after this calculation, if you carefully observe the calculation, yes, methanol, in this is propyl alcohol, ethyl alcohol, and this is butyl alcohol. Here the difference in the molecular weight is, here the difference for ethyl alcohol, the difference in the molecular weight is 14. Here the propyl alcohol, the difference in the molecular weight is 28, and in butyl alcohol the difference in the molecular weight is 42. In butyl alcohol the difference in the molecular weight when compared to methanol is 42 because it contains 3 methylene groups. In the case of propyl alcohol, the difference in the molecular weight is 28 because there are 2 methylene groups when compared to methyl alcohol. And if you go for ethyl alcohol, the difference is only 14 because this ethyl alcohol contains only one methylene group which is equal to 14. So therefore, with respect to methyl alcohol, ethyl alcohol and methyl alcohol molecular mass difference or molecular difference is 14. Methyl alcohol and propyl alcohol molecular weight difference is 28. Methyl alcohol and butyl alcohol molecular difference is 42. So in this way, we can calculate the molecular mass or molecular weight of the 3 alcohols by calculating their actual molecular weights. And second part of the question is molecular weights of the following alcohols. So molecular weights already we have calculated, that is methyl alcohol molecular weight is 32, ethyl alcohol total molecular weight is 46, propyl alcohol total molecular weight is 60, and butyl alcohol total molecular weight is 74. Draw the structures of the following compounds. Structures of the following compounds, that is ethanoic acid, bromopentane, then butanone, and hexanol. So from these four structures, there is one more question attached for this B bit. Are structural isomers possible for bromopentane? Is the question mark. So first what we are going to do is one by one we are going to answer the questions. So first one I will take A. And if you take A here, this is ethanoic acid. Underline eth, ane, oic. Eth is the root word, ane is the primary suffix, and oic is the secondary suffix. So catch the root word eth. Eth means it stands for two carbons, that is take two carbons, 1 and 2. Eth is the root word. Ane means all single bonds here. Oic means you have to take the carboxylic acid. Oic stands for secondary suffix and it is carboxylic acid. So ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid means I can take one carbon double bond oxygen and I can attach one alcohol. This is oic. And because it is ane, all single bonds, so 1, 2, 3, attach 3 hydrogens. So this is nothing but, so this is the structure which you are able to see. This we call it as carboxylic acid. If you want, you can just show it this as CH3, simply COOH, otherwise also called acetic acid. So first one is completed. Go for second, B bit. B, if you take bromopentane, if you take pentane, bromo, pent root word, ane primary suffix, and bromo is the substituent. So root word is pent, so take here 5 carbons, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Bromopentane, so here take one bromo group, and because it is pent, ane, all single, ane means all single bonds. So what I am doing here is attach all the single covalent bonds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That means you can easily say that C5H11Br is the bromopentane molecular formula. So you can just rewrite this as, if you want, you can rewrite this structure as CH3 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2Br. This is bromopentane. So, and here is asking one more question: are structural isomers possible for bromopentane? Yes, definitely structural isomers are possible for the bromopentane. Now what we can do here is, if you want to identify the structural isomers for the bromopentane, we need to readjust the substituent, and we should also convert the straight chain of the bromopentane to branched chain. Then we can find out the number of isomeric structures of the bromopentane molecule. Yeah. So number of structural isomers possible for bromopentane molecule. What I am going to do here is, so number of structural isomers for bromopentane. Pentane are, you can just take it like this. First one is, what I am doing here is First one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll write here 1 bromo pentane. Second structure is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here I'll attach one bromo, another bromopentane. That means the bromo group is being substituted on the second carbon. So this I'll write it as 2 bromo pentane. I will write the next case. What I can do is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 bromopentane. I can say. Next, what I can do is I can create one branch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 1 bromo. This is 1 bromo. 1 2 3. Give the numbering 1 2 3 and 4. So this is going to become the substituent. So 1 bromo 2 methyl butane. 1 bromo 2 methyl butane. Then again what I can do is I can also bring it here as I think 1 2 3 4 and 5. This is one more case. This is again you can take the longest chain 1 2 3. So this is 2 comma 2 dimethyl 1 bromo, or else 1 bromo 2 comma 2 dimethyl propane. Else you can write this as neopentyl bromide. This is isopentyl. Isopentyl bromide. So here I think these are the some of the isomeric structures which are possible. So total 5 isomeric structures we are able to obtain here. We are able to obtain 5 isomeric structures. So satisfy the tetravalencies. Here you can take 3 hydrogens. Here you can take 2 hydrogens. Here you can take 2 hydrogens. Again here you can take 2 hydrogens. Similarly here also attach 3 covalent bonds. Satisfy the tetravalencies of the carbon with 2 hydrogens. Yes. Here also we are doing the same thing, hydrogen, and again 3 hydrogens. Here 1 2 3. 3 hydrogens. Here 1 2 3. 3 hydrogens. Here 1 hydrogen. Here 2 hydrogens. And here again 2 hydrogens. Again here 1 2 3. 3 hydrogens. Again here 1 hydrogen. Here 2 hydrogens. Again here 2 hydrogens. Here hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen. Hydrogen and again hydrogen. Hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen. Here already 4 bonds are there. So here 1 hydrogen and here 1 hydrogen. So total of 5 isomers are possible. A total of, so here that is a total of 5 isomeric structures isomeric structures are possible. A total of 5 isomeric structures are possible for the given compound, that is the bromopentane. For the given compound bromopentane, we can identify 5 different isomers, that is 1 bromopentane, 2 bromopentane, 3 bromopentane, 1 bromo 2-methylbutane, and also 1 bromo 2,2-dimethylpropane. 5 isomers are possible. 5 isomeric structures are possible for N-bromopentane molecule. So the next part of the naming of the compound is, that is C-bit. Butanone. Underline the word bit. It is root word known. Known is the secondary suffix for ketone functional group. So therefore, if but is the root word, but means number of carbons are 4. So root word 4 carbons. So therefore 1, 2, 3 and 4. Butanone. Now butanone means you can just take it as, either you can take the double bond in this carbon or in this carbon. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can create the double bond anywhere. You cannot create the double bond of oxygen with the carbon. Ketone is nothing but, here this ketone is taken as carbon double bond oxygen, 2 single bonds. The carbon is satisfied with this tetravalency. There are 4 bonds in which there are 2 sigma bonds, 1 pi bond and 1 again sigma bond. So now what is happening here is, we can create the carbonyl functional group. I am creating at the second position double bond with oxygen and satisfy the tetravalencies of the carbon. 1, 2, again 1, 2, 3. So here carbon single bond hydrogen, carbon single bond hydrogen, carbon single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen. Or simply you can take here this as, that is CH3 single bond, CH2 single bond, carbon double bond, CH3. This is simply taken as, that is butanone, or 2-butanone. 2-butanone. This is C-bit. Go for D-bit. Hexanal. If you go for hexanal, underlined hexa, the root word, number of carbons 6, and al is the secondary suffix for aldehyde. Aldehyde is carbon double bond oxygen, single bond hydrogen. This is aldehyde. So what is happening? Because there are 6 carbons, so you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Because aldehyde is a chain terminating functional group, here itself I am creating one carbon double bond oxygen with single bond hydrogen. Then satisfy the tetravalencies, carbon single bond hydrogen, carbon single bond hydrogen. Satisfy the tetravalencies for the rest of the carbons also. So take 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here already 4 valences are satisfied for the carbon, and this is anyhow, it's an aldehyde. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, again 1 and 2. So this is going to become or, and this is, mind you, this is nothing but an aldehyde. This is an aldehyde. So secondary suffix for aldehyde is secondary suffix is equal to al. So that's what we are doing. So therefore again condensing this same structure, CH3 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2. There are 4 methylene groups, 1, 2, 3, 4. So CH2, another CH2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 aldehyde, CHO. So this is going to become hexanol. Hexanol is the structural formula. Hexanol is the IUPAC name, and that is the structural formula for hexanol. So the next part of the question is, how would you name the following compounds? One is CH3 CH2 Pr, hydrogen single bond carbon. Then we can take CH3 methane carbon, again carbon single bond, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is a structure which is given. So how would you name the following compounds? Actually we can give two names. Here there are two carbons, so root word is eth. So either you can say ethyl bromide you can say, or you can take bromoethane. Bromoethane is one name you can give. Here there is only one carbon, and this is aldehyde, one carbon, and this is aldehyde. One carbon, root word is meth. So I'll call it as, because there is one carbon, you can write it as, that is formaldehyde. One name is, you can give formaldehyde, common name, IUPAC name, methanol. Methanol is the IUPAC name. Again here, if you take CH3 single bond, CH2 single bond, CH2, C triple bond, CH, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Total number of carbons are 6. So root word, number of carbons 6. So root word is hex. Hex is the root word. And we have a double bond, we have a triple bond. We have a triple bond here. This is primary suffix. Primary suffix is -ine. So therefore the primary suffix for carbon-carbon triple bond is -ine. So if you want, you can write the name. Longest chain is 6, so you can take simply hexine, hexine, or hexane, remove E and add ine, hexaine. Also you can write is the IUPAC name for this compound. So today we are going to discuss about the preparation and properties of hydrocarbons. Preparation and properties of hydrocarbons. In this, if you go for saturated hydrocarbons, that is alkanes. Alkanes, that is in particular you can take preparation of methane. Preparation of methane. If you go for preparation of methane, the best method of preparing methane is, that is decarboxylation reaction. Decarboxylation reaction. Decarboxylation reaction. In this decarboxylation reaction, you can take, that is sodium salts, that is sodium salt of fatty acid, sodium acetate, CH3 COONA. This is sodium acetate plus NaOH in the presence of calcium oxide. Upon heating, you get CH4 plus Na2CO3. This is methane. This is one method of preparing the methane. Then second method is we can use, that is reduction method. And one more thing, in decarboxylation reaction, here if you take NaOH plus calcium oxide, this mixture we call it as soda lime, and it is the soda lime is a decarboxylating agent. What is decarboxylating agent? It is removal of carbon dioxide. Decarboxylating agent, removal of carbon dioxide. Similarly, if you are going to use the reduction method, if you use, that is methyl chloride when treated with hydrogen in the presence of palladium or platinum or nickel at around 350 degrees centigrade, it can give you CH4 gas plus HCl. This is one method of preparing methane. So here we can say that CH4 is a hydrocarbon, saturated hydrocarbon. CH4 is an alkane. It is an alkane. This alkane is called methane. It is also called marsh gas because of its availability in the marshy areas, near the sea coast, marshy areas it is available. The same methane we can also call it as natural gas because of the natural availability of the petroleum hydrocarbons. Natural gas is available. So methane has different names. Methane belongs to alkanes. Methane belongs to alkane. It is also called marsh gas, and it is also called natural gas. And these are the two important methods for the preparation of methane. Now if you go for chemical properties, in chemical properties of alkanes, chemical properties, if you take chemical properties, in chemical properties you can take first one, that is halogenation in the presence of sunlight. Sunlight, that is nothing but photochemical reaction. So we'll write the necessary equation for this photochemical reaction, and we'll see how we can see that the halogens are going to react with methane and to give the desired products. So we are going to discuss about the chemical properties of alkenes. properties of alkanes. In this first one, that is A, halogenation, that is, in step 1 we take one chlorine molecule in the presence of sunlight. This is acting as sunlight. So here it undergoes homolytic fission. And here the bond will break. When the bond is going to break, it gives 2 chlorine free radicals. And in step 2 you find that take the methane CH3 single bond hydrogen plus 1 chlorine free radical. Again the bond will break. When the bond is breaking, you get here methyl chloride plus HCl. So we can understand that this is a free radical mechanism. It is a free radical mechanism. So this is chlorine free radical. It is a free radical. Fr stands for free radical. So like this, we can continue the next part of the reaction. So similarly, if you take CH3Cl methyl chloride reacts with chlorine to give methylene chloride. Likewise, methylene chloride reacts with another chlorine molecule to give methyl chloride. That is chloroform. CHCl3. Then take this CHCl3. This is chloroform, and this is methylene chloride. And CHCl3 plus chlorine molecule gives carbon tetrachloride plus HCl. This CCl4 is called carbon tetrachloride. In bracket we can say pyrene, which can be used as fire extinguisher. So similarly, we will go for the next part of the chemical properties of alkanes. So we will go for combustion reaction. If you go for combustion reaction, that is combustion reaction. If you take methane gas when treated with oxygen gas, it gives carbon dioxide gas plus H2O liquid. So here let us balance the equation. Take 2 over here and take 2 over here. That means in any combustion reaction always we get carbon dioxide and water. So it is proved that in combustion reaction we can always obtain the carbon dioxide and water. Methane when reacts with oxygen gives carbon dioxide and water. So this is a combustion reaction. So after this combustion reaction, still there are many other reactions where we can study in the alkanes, but these two are the two important reactions which we have to study in the case of alkanes. So the next part of the discussion is, let us have a discussion with respect to questionnaire. One important question: what are elimination, addition and substitution? What are elimination, addition and substitution reactions? So for example, all these three reactions plays an important role in understanding the properties of hydrocarbon. So if I take first one, if I am going to take elimination reaction, if I am taking elimination reaction, the best example of elimination reaction is dehydration. Dehydration of alcohols. What do you mean by dehydration? Dehydration is nothing but removal of water molecules. Dehydration is nothing but removal of water molecules. So the best example of dehydrating agent is concentrated H2SO4. So if you carry out the reaction, take for example, that is CH3CH2OH. This is ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol at a temperature of 170 degrees centigrade using concentrated H2SO4. So you are removing one OH group. You are removing one OH group from the CH2 group, and you are removing one hydrogen. Take the CH3, convert the CH3 into CH2, and you mark it one hydrogen here. Consider this as alpha carbon and consider this as beta carbon. Consider this as beta and consider this as beta. From alpha we are removing OH group, and from beta we are removing hydrogen. So this H plus OH minus. H plus from beta carbon and OH minus from alpha carbon results in removal of, that is, water. Removal of water, and therefore we are going to get here, that is CH2 double bond CH2. This is ethene, or also called ethylene. Ethene or ethylene molecule. So this comes under the dehydration reaction, and dehydration reaction is the best example for elimination reaction. Now we'll go for, after dehydration we'll go for, that is, addition reaction. B, addition. Addition reactions. Addition reaction is simply converting unsaturated hydrocarbons to unsaturated hydrocarbons. Unsaturated hydrocarbons with the carbon-carbon double bond or carbon-carbon triple bond to saturated hydrocarbons, that is carbon-carbon single bond. This is addition reaction. So take one example. Take one example over here. That is, if you take the example, I am taking CH2 double bond CH2 plus hydrogen. This is a gas, and this is also a gas. So here, when you heat it at around 300 degrees centigrade using platinum or palladium acting as catalyst, we can convert CH2 double bond CH2 to CH3 single bond CH3. This is gas. This is ethene, and this is ethane. This is ethene and this is ethane. That means we have converted alkene to alkane by passing hydrogen, and this process we can call it as this entire process, this entire method, it is addition reaction. Okay, reduction. In addition reaction, this process is called reduction method. Reduction method because we have passed hydrogen gas. This method we call it as reduction method. We have passed hydrogen gas, addition reaction. So like this you can convert even, you can convert the ethyne molecule also. In the similar sense you can convert the ethyne molecule. That is, this is first example. Go for second example. In the second example, CH triple bond CH plus H2 in the presence of platinum at 300 degrees centigrade, it gets converted to CH2 double bond CH2 plus hydrogen. Okay, I am writing one more separately. This is, you are converting alkyne, to alkene, and this is ethyne, and this is alkene, ethene. So take again one more step, take this ethylene, take this ethene, again you add hydrogen gas, ethene gas, hydrogen gas, take platinum as a catalyst, 300 degrees centigrade, immediately you are converting it to CH3, single bond CH3, this is ethane. That means you are converting alkene to alkane. Alkene to alkane. So this is how we can convert the unsaturated hydrocarbons to saturated hydrocarbons. So the third category of the reactions in that question is, that is substitution. Substitution reaction. Substitution reactions. Actually, alkanes are less reactive and chemically inert, but in the presence of sunlight, H mu, photochemical reaction, occurs, and photochemical reaction occurs. The alkanes react in the presence of sunlight, though they are chemically inert and less reactive. In the presence of sunlight, acting as a catalyst, chlorine reacts with the alkanes. So suppose if I am taking, that is ethane, CH3 single bond CH3 gas plus chlorine gas, in the presence of sunlight, H mu acting as catalyst, you get here CH3 single bond CH2Cl plus HCl. This is called ethyl chloride. It is called ethyl chloride. So this is one of the important reaction which you have to understand in the case of substitution reactions of, that is, alkanes. So here, if you go for the next part of the question, ethyne or acetylene when treated with the O2, product obtained is why air is not treated. Why air is not treated with the ethane? Because the answer is, for this question the answer is, air is a mixture. It contains oxygen, it contains nitrogen, it contains carbon dioxide, it contains carbon monoxide, inert gases, and even that is carbon monoxide gas, mixture of carbon monoxide gas, nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, okay, and other hydrocarbons are present. So that means if air is mixed, suppose if you are treating with the, and here nitrogen is chemical inert, nitrogen because of its stable structure, nitrogen is not that easily, it is going to react in the chemical process. But if you go for oxygen, yes, it's highly reactive because it contains unpaired electrons in its structure, it is highly reactive. So for example, the mixture of ethane is also called acetylene. Ethane is also called acetylene. So I am taking acetylene here, that is acetylene, CH triple bond, CH plus half mole of O2 gas, oxoacetylene flame. You can write here CH double bond CH with one oxygen. We can call this as oxoacetylene flame. It has a temperature of not less than 1800 degrees centigrade and it is used for welding purposes. This oxoacetylene flame is used for welding. Oxoacetylene flame is used for welding purposes. Similarly, the next part of the question is conversion of, next question, conversion of ethyl alcohol, conversion of ethyl alcohol to ethanoic acid, conversion of ethyl alcohol to ethanoic acid, ethyl alcohol to ethanoic acid is an oxidation process. Why is an oxidation process? Why? The reason is because when you go for ethyl alcohol, here the answer is, if you go for ethyl alcohol, the formula is C2H5OH is ethyl alcohol. Then you can go for ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid, it is CH3 double bond, carbon double bond oxygen, single bond oxygen, ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid is also called acetic acid. Acetic acid is also called vinegar. Vinegar, this vinegar 5 to 8% of acetic acid in water, it cools to give glacial acetic acid. Call this as glacial acetic acid. So I repeat here, the ethyl alcohol, conversion of C2H5OH to acetic acid. is an oxidation process. Why it is an oxidation process? Because ethyl alcohol when it is added with the a nascent oxygen with the oxidizing agent with an oxidizing agent, that is KMnO4, in the presence of base, this KMnO4 in the presence of base, potassium permanganate in the presence of base, it is called Bayer's reagent. It is acting as an oxidizing agent. So it supplies the nascent oxygen, and this nascent oxygen will convert the alcohol to that is CH3 carbon double bond oxygen to carboxylic acid. This is carboxylic acid. So we are converting an alcohol to carboxylic acid with same number of carbon atoms. Here we have 2 carbons. In ethyl alcohol we have 2 carbons, so N is equal to 2. N represents the number of carbons. In ethanoic acid or acetic acid also we have number of carbons too. So therefore the number of carbons are remaining same, and the conversion of ethyl alcohol to ethanoic acid is oxidation, because this reaction requires an oxidizing agent. The oxidizing agent is Bayer's reagent. Bayer's reagent is called alkaline potassium permanganate. Alkaline means base, potassium permanganate, alkaline potassium permanganate, we call it as Bayer's reagent. This Bayer's reagent supplies the nascent oxygen to the ethyl alcohol. This ethyl alcohol contains an alcoholic group that is called primary alcohol or simply alcoholic group. In the ethyl alcohol, the primary alcoholic group is getting converted to the carboxylic group. Once the carboxylic group is formed, we are successfully converting the ethyl alcohol to the ethanoic acid or the ethanol to ethanoic acid, and overall the process is called oxidation process because the nascent oxygen is involved by the oxidizing agent. The next part of the discussion is general properties of ethanol. If you go for the general properties of ethanol, that is general properties of ethanol. This ethanol, it is colorless, soluble, liquid, colorless soluble liquid. It is used for it is medicinally it is used in tonics, syrups, and syrups. Then consumption of alcohol consumptions leads to health problems like drowsiness, stupor, damage of liver, the other case of damage of the metabolic activities. And this alcohol, to make this alcohol, it's a good solvent actually. This ethyl alcohol is also good organic solvent. It's a good organic solvent to impart color, mixed with the dyes. It is mixed with dyes, and sometimes to make it unfit for drinking purpose. To make it unfit, okay, making it unfit for drinking purpose. Unfit for drinking purpose. Drinking or consuming purpose. The ethyl alcohol is mixed with the methanol. This is methanol. This mixture we call it as methylated spirit. Methylated spirit. So the next part of the discussion is the chemical properties of ethyl alcohol. So in this chemical properties of ethyl alcohol, properties of ethyl alcohol, chemical properties of ethyl alcohol. If you take ethyl alcohol, in this that is number one, action of metals. Example, sodium, potassium. So C2H5OH aqueous plus sodium solid gives rise to C2H5ONA plus half mole of H2 gas. This is aqueous. So this is ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol, and this is sodium methoxide, and this is half mole of hydrogen gas. This is half mole of hydrogen gas. So that means whenever a metal, this is a metal, sodium metal, when it is acting on the ethyl alcohol, this hydrogen is called as acidic hydrogen. Actually, this hydrogen which you are able to see in ethyl alcohol, this is acidic hydrogen. Acidic hydrogen. We call this as acidic hydrogen, and we got sodium methoxide, evolution of hydrogen gas. And similarly here, if you go for this ethyl alcohol, if you take, that is, it can react completely with the base, action of directly bases. Example, we can take NaOH, sodium hydroxide. So C2H5OH of aqueous plus NaOH of aqueous gives rise to, that is, C2H5ONA plus H2O. This is nothing but alcohol is a weak acid. It is a weak acid reacting with strong base to form salt and water. That's why this reaction, you can call it as neutralization reaction. We can call this as neutralization reaction. So here, ethyl alcohol is a weak acid, sodium hydroxide is a strong base, and when a weak acid is reacting with a strong base, it is able to give sodium methoxide, that is salt, along with the formation of water. This is aqueous. Here the aqueous, what do you mean by AQ? AQ means it is water as solvent. Water as solvent, because ethyl alcohol can ionize in the presence of base only if you are taking water as a solvent. That's why we mentioned the ethyl alcohol as alcohol aqueous, we mentioned the base as base aqueous, and we mentioned the salt as aqueous, and water is of course liquid. So this is a kind of neutralization reaction. So the next part of the discussion is alcohol as a fuel. Next topic, alcohol as a fuel. If you take alcohol as a fuel, ethyl alcohol, actually this when you say alcohol is nothing but ethyl alcohol, which is C2H5OH, which is also called ethanol. Manufacture of ethanol or ethyl alcohol can be done through, it is molasses. Actually, you take cane sugar. This cane sugar is nothing but C12H22O11. It's a carbohydrate. It's a disaccharide. So take this C12H22O11, you dilute it with water. This is solid, this water is liquid. Dilute it, excess, you get C6H12O6, 2 molecules. This is glucose. Glucose, when it is subjected to fermentation, you get ethyl alcohol plus carbon dioxide. So this ethyl alcohol, this is nothing but, this alcohol which is obtained is called absolute alcohol. Now finally what is happening here is, this ethyl alcohol, if it is used as a fuel, this ethyl alcohol can be used as a biofuel, because ethyl alcohol, when it is subjected to combustion, gas subjected to combustion, it is giving carbon dioxide gas plus water liquid plus large amount of energy. So this principle, this is the combustion principle. That means heating the ethyl alcohol in the presence of oxygen, it is giving carbon dioxide gas, and it gives water as liquid. This water which is obtained as a liquid is called water vapor, which can be used for drinking purpose, and it's a carbon dioxide emits less smoke. So therefore we can use ethyl alcohol as a fuel or simply biofuel, and it's a common principle. It is used for the generation of energy, and combustion of ethyl alcohol is, therefore it can be an exothermic reaction. It's an exothermic reaction. It is an exothermic reaction. So the next part of the discussion is, that is properties of acetic acid. Properties of acetic acid. So if you take acetic acid is also called ethanoic acid, which is the IUPAC name. Structure, if you take molecular formula, C2H4O2 is the molecular formula. O2 is the molecular formula. Take this C2H4O2. The structure is CH3 single bond carbon double bond single bond oxygen. So what you are noticing here is this acetic acid, because it contains one carboxylic group. This is the carboxylic group. Carboxylic group, and we have number of carbons too. So therefore we can write this as root word is ethanoic acid, because CH3 COOH contains COOH group. It is a carboxylic acid. We take this carboxylic acid. This carboxylic acid, if you dissolve in water, CH3COOH in the presence of water, when it is subjected to cooling, it gives CH3COOH aqueous. CH3COOH aqueous. This results in the formation of glacial acetic acid. Glacial acetic acid. It results in the formation of glacial acetic acid. So all these are the general properties. It has acetic acid. Acetic acid has low melting point, which is equal to 290 Kelvin. So cooling is done. Cooling is rapid. So if that is the case, these are all some of the important general formulas of the acetic acid or ethanoic acid, and the structure is, this is the structure of the ethanoic acid, CH3COOH, wherein which it contains one carbon double bond oxygen and one single bond OH. So the next part of the discussion is, let us study some important properties of acetic acid. This acetic acid, that is chemical properties. Chemical properties. In this, A, esterification. What do you mean by esterification? Esterification is nothing but, that is carboxylic acid plus alcohol in the presence of small amount of acid acting as catalyst. It forms ester plus water. This ester which is formed gives a fruity smell. So this is somewhat like a test. So this is a test for detection of carboxylic group. So what is the kind of reaction which is possible? So if you go for the reaction, in the case of esterification, if you go for the reaction, you can take the reaction like this, that is CH3 single bond carbon double bond oxygen OH, this is aqueous, plus ethyl alcohol OH of C2H5OH of aqueous, reversible reaction, add small amount of H plus ion. This is acid, catalyst, acid catalyst. So the product obtained is, here you can see one molecule of H2O is removed out. zoom it out, and you're going to get CH3 single bond carbon double bond, single bond oxygen, C2H5OH. This is called ethyl acetate, which we call it as ester, and this is the ester group. This is the ester group. This is the ester group. So this is nothing but esterification. So this is a test for the esterification of carboxylic acids along with alcohol. When alcohol is added to the carboxylic acid in the presence of small amount of acid, mineral acid, that is add 2 or 3 drops of HCl to the acetic acid and ethyl alcohol, and you just shake it for a few seconds, and then you take it to the Bunsen burner, and in the presence of Bunsen burner, if you heat for 2 or 3 minutes, the hot vapors, sweet smelling vapors are obtained. The sweet smelling, that is fruity smell, it gives the fruity smell, it gives the smell of a fruity smell. The fruity smell compound is nothing but ester. Here the ester is, that is ethyl acetate. The formula of ethyl acetate is CH3 single bond carbon double bond oxygen single bond O(C2H5) is ester. So once the ester is formed, that fruity smell is confirmed. Once the fruity smell is confirmed, that means we have detected the carboxylic group. We have detected the carboxylic group in the carboxylic acids. So this is the test for carboxylic acid in the form of esterification. Next, second one is go for saponification. Of soap. Saponification of soap. So we got an ester. Ester, when treated with base, we get ester. When treated with base, we get salt, fatty acid, fatty acid we are going to get. So let us see what is that we are going to get. So take one example. Now take this ester, that is CH3COO, CH3COO of O, C2H5 of OC2H5. You add it with the base. Ester is treated with base. This base, it is irreversible reaction. So you find that you get CH3 CONA, CH3 single bond carbon double bond O Na plus C2H5OH. So you got salt plus alcohol, but here alcohol is a weak acid. So this principle involved is nothing but the principle involved in this reaction, conversion of ester to the salt, conversion of the ester to the salt is nothing but that is saponification of soap. So this soap is used in that is removal of dirt from the surface of the cloth, and here we can understand because we are speaking something about the soap, I would like to also explain the next part of the discussion, that is I'll continue the discussion. The next part of the discussion is cleansing action of soap. In the language of chemistry, what do you mean by soap actually? In the language of chemistry, when you speak about soap is nothing but, when you take soap is nothing but salt of higher fatty acid. Salt of higher fatty acid is nothing but soap. Chemically, when you define soap or when you understand soap in the language of chemistry, what is soap means? Simply you have to say salt of higher fatty acid. So what are the salts of higher fatty acids? Example, you can take sodium stearate. Sodium stearate, molecular formula C17H35 COO of Na is sodium stearate. So let's continue the topic, that is cleansing action of soap. In this cleansing action of soap, as already I told you, this for soap, if you take the example, soap, example, sodium stearate, if you take molecular formula C17H35COO of Na. So this C17H35COO of Na is a solid. You are dissolving it in water, that is liquid, and you are going to get C17H35COO of Na aqueous. So I can take one negative charge and one positive charge. So what is happening here is, if you break the bond, this is where the bond is broken. This is stearate ion, and this stearate ion is having two ends. Take this stearate ion, 17 carbons are there. So C17H35COO minus can be taken as, you can conclude this as, it contains two ends. It has two ends. One is hydrophobic end, and another one is hydrophilic end. So hydrophobic end is solvent HETA, and hydrophilic end is solvent lava. Hydrophobic is also called lyophobic, and hydrophilic is also called lyophilic end. So whatever, if you take the stearate ion, so take the stearate ion, that is CH3, CH2, and so on. CH2, COO of O minus. So this is, you can see that this is the polar head. Hydrophilic, and this is this chain which you are able to see. This chain which you are able to see is hydrophobic. So what is happening is, if you take a soap solution, that means it contains the hydrophobic end, which is called tail. Hydrophobic end, this is the tail region, this is tail end. This we call it as tail end, and this is head end. This is the head end. So what is happening is, like soap solution acquiring minimum concentration in the form of CMC, critical micelle concentration. What is CMC? CMC is critical micelle concentration, or critical micelle concentration. Suppose CMC I am expanding. What is CMC? This CMC is called critical micelle concentration. This critical micelle concentration, it forms an envelope around the dirt molecules. So when you go for dirt is nothing but here. When you go for dirt is nothing but oily substance insoluble in water. So if you think that this is the dirt, and you're finding that all the micelles can form an envelope like this. This is the dirt and it forms an envelope. You can see the free Na plus ions. Na plus ions are freely moving in the solvent. So this is the dirt molecule. These are dirt molecules. And these are the micelles. And you find that dirt plus micelle involves in emulsification. Dirt molecules, when they comes in contact with the micelle is a part of soap solution which contains both the ends, that is the hydrophobic ends and the hydrophilic ends. Hydrophilic ends, they are insoluble in water, so they penetrate into the dirt molecules and they reach the exterior of the surface of the soap solution, and the friction is being created between the dirt molecules. Between the dirt molecules and the micelle, there is a kind of mechanical friction taking place. Because of the mechanical friction, a process involves between the dirt and micelle is emulsification. Emulsification is nothing but breaking of dirt molecules. Breaking of dirt molecules into individual particles. So through this mechanism we can say that the dirt molecules are going to be removed from the surface of the cloth, and the cloth is free from all the dirt layer present over it, and soap plays a very important role in removal of the dirt. That's nothing but cleansing action of soap, and this is the concept of soap. So the next part of the discussion is, let us have some exercise. First question, number of covalent bonds involved in C2H6. So here the answer for this is C2H6 is molecular formula of C2H6 compound is, name of the compound is ethane. So because it is ethane, we can show the structural formula. We can take it in the form of, that is CH3 single bond CH3. This is the condensed structure, expanded structure, CH3 single bond CH3. We can write it in the form of carbon single bond hydrogen, 3 single bonds of hydrogen. So you can count the number of sigma bonds, sigma, and sigma. So in total you have 7 sigma bonds, also 7 covalent bonds. Because of equal sharing of electrons, a sigma bond is formed. A sigma bond is nothing but a covalent bond. Because we got 7 sigma bonds, we can go for 7 covalent bonds. So that is the first question. So go for the second question. Draw the Lewis electron dot structure of ethanoic acid, A, B, propanone, C, fluorine molecule, D, that is butanone. So if you go for ethanoic acid, first one ethanoic acid, underline eth, underline oic. So it means root word, oic means carboxylic acid. Carboxylic acid. So root word, because it means root word means number of carbon. There are two carbons. You can take two carbons here. So one is 1 and the one is 2. Because it is carboxylic acid, chain terminating. So what I am doing here, take double bond oxygen, single bond OH, then satisfy the tetravalencies. Now go for the Lewis electron dot structure. We can take carbon is tetravalent, hydrogen is monovalent, carbon contains 4 valence electrons, hydrogen contains, carbon has element, I'll take it like this, element, valence electrons. If I take element and valence electrons, element and valence electrons, if I take hydrogen, number of valence electrons are 4, if I take carbon, number of valence hydrogen number of valence electrons 1, carbon number of valence electrons 4, oxygen number of valence electrons 6. So here you can take, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 hydrogens are there. So 4 into hydrogen is equal to 4 into number of valence electrons 1, which is equal to 0, 4. Carbon, there are 4 carbons, 4 into carbon, each carbon number of valence electrons 4, so 4 into 4, that is 16 valence electrons. There are 6 oxygens, so 6 into oxygen, which is equal to 6 into 6, 36. So this is total, this is 12 plus 4, 16, 4, 5, 56. So 12 plus 4, 16, 4, 5, 56 electrons are there. 56 electrons are there in ethanoic acid. 56 electrons are there. So here take the carbon we have 4 valence electrons. So if you take this particular carbon, 1, 2, 3 and this is 4, we have each hydrogen 1, 2 and 3 hydrogens. So use a cross, here also you try to use a cross. Then we have another carbon, so again 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, you can take it like this, 1, 2, 3 and we can take 4, and rather you can use oxygen here. Oxygen, if you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, you go for one more oxygen and one more hydrogen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 and one valence electron of hydrogen. So here we can create one bond here. Here one bond is formed, here one bond is formed, here one bond is formed, and here one bond is formed. Here one bond, here one bond, and here one bond is formed, and here one bond is formed. So this is the Lewis electron dot structure. You can see one bond formation here. Here you can see one bond formation. Here you can see one bond formation. Here you can see one bond formation. Here you can see two bond formations, and here you can see one bond formation, and here you can see one bond formation. So therefore you can take here carbon single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, hydrogen, then here single bond carbon, double bond oxygen, 1, 2, 3, 4, two lone pairs, again single bond oxygen, two lone pairs, single bond hydrogen. This is the Lewis electron dot structure of acetic acid. So this you condense it again, CH3 single bond carbon, double bond oxygen, double bond oxygen, double bond oxygen, again single bond oxygen. So this is acetic acid. Similarly, if you go for the second one, that is propanone. If you go for propanone, likewise propanone, Lewis electron dot structure propanone. So there should be 3 carbons, 1, 2, 3, double bond, and you have 2 single bonds. Take hydrogen, hydrogen and hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, again single bond hydrogen. So what you are noticing here is 2 lone pairs of oxygen. So bring this again, take it here. So here you can take 1, 2, 3, 4, again you come over here, 1, 2, 3, take the oxygen. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So here again you take another carbon, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here you mark 1 hydrogen, here you mark 1 hydrogen, here you mark 1 hydrogen, here you take 1 cross. Okay. So here yeah, this is 1 hydrogen, this is 1 hydrogen, this is 1 hydrogen. This is 1 hydrogen. So bond is formed here. Here 1 bond is formed, 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 here 1 bond, 2 bonds. Yeah. So this is 1 covalent bond, covalent bond, covalent bond, covalent bond, covalent bond, and this is covalent bond, and this is also covalent bond, and this is also covalent bond. So therefore finally we can just take the same structure, that is C, single bond hydrogen, single bond hydrogen, carbon double bond oxygen with 2 lone pairs. Again, that is same product we are getting here, same product. Rather what I am going to do is I am going to just show it like this, because already I have expanded the first structure. So I can show it like this, CH3, again CH3. So this is the final product. This is going to be the final product, Lewis electron dot structure product. So like this you can draw Lewis electron dot structures for the given compounds.